I was slicing carrots for dinner when my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but something in my gut told me to answer. "Mrs. Patterson?" a voice said. "This is Principal Morrison from Riverside Elementary. Your daughter Isla is safe, but she was never on the field trip today." I froze. The knife dropped from my hand and hit the floor with a clatter. My 8-year-old daughter had left the house this morning in her galaxy print backpack and pink rain boots, practically dancing with excitement over the museum trip. She'd been talking about it for weeks. Dinosaurs, space exhibits, even a live science demonstration. I'd packed her a lunch, braided her hair, and kissed her forehead at drop-off. But now the principal was saying she'd never even left the school. My husband Declan looked up from his laptop, concern already in his eyes. I pressed the phone tighter to my ear. "What do you mean she wasn't on the trip?" "I dropped her off myself. She had her permission slip." There was a pause. "According to our records," Principal Morrison said carefully, "Isla was marked absent this morning. She's not with the class at the museum. We've searched the grounds, checked all sign-in logs, and her name isn't on any of today's lists." I gripped the counter to keep from collapsing. This doesn't make sense. I saw her walk into the building with her classmates. She was talking about how she wanted to sit next to Ellie on the bus. "I understand, and I believe you," she said. "But I think you and your husband should come to the school right away. And you may want to bring a photo of Isla." "A photo?" The words didn't register until Declan stood beside me, asking what was wrong. I told him, and within seconds we were both racing toward the car. The short drive to Riverside Elementary felt endless, our quiet suburban streets suddenly unfamiliar and claustrophobic. I called the school office, Isla's teacher, even the front desk again. No one had answers. When we pulled into the parking lot, the buses were already gone. The building looked normal. Kids playing near the windows, a few teachers walking down the halls. But everything inside me screamed that nothing about today was normal. Principal Morrison met us at the door. Normally warm and energetic, she looked older now, tired. She led us quickly down the hallway, past lockers decorated with glitter and construction paper planets Isla had helped make. The air felt heavy. I couldn't stop picturing Isla's tiny hands writing her name on her lunch bag this morning, telling me she was going to bring back a museum postcard for her bedroom wall. We stepped into the office. Inside were 2 other people. One was Isla's teacher, Mrs. Chen, visibly shaken, and the other was a tall man in plain clothes, who introduced himself as Detective Rodriguez. "We're handling this as a precaution," he said gently. "There's no indication of foul play yet, but time matters. I need to ask some questions." I nodded, already struggling to hold myself together. He leaned forward. "You dropped Isla off this morning?" "Yes," I said. "Around 7:50. She had her lunchbox and her permission slip for the Natural History Museum." Mrs. Chen blinked. "Mrs. Patterson, the 3rd grade didn't go to the Natural History Museum today. We went to the Science Discovery Center." I stared at her. No, the paper said, I have it on my phone." I pulled it up. A photo I'd taken of the slip before putting it in Isla's folder. It had the school logo, the date, and the museum name. "Here," I said, handing them the phone. Mrs. Chen and the principal exchanged a look that made me want to vomit. "Mrs. Patterson," the principal said slowly, "that's not the form we sent out." My mind scrambled to process what she meant. There was never a trip to the Natural History Museum planned. That letter, it's not from us. Our real permission slip was for the Discovery Center. I have a copy here. She pulled a copy from a file and placed it next to my photo. Same header, different wording, different location. "Are you saying this is fake?" Declan asked, his voice sharp. "That someone sent us a forged school document?" The detective spoke next. "Do you have any idea who might have sent this version home with Isla?" I shook my head. "No. I mean, maybe she mixed it up, but..." Then I paused. A memory surfaced. 3 weeks ago, my sister Rebecca had stopped by unexpectedly. She'd helped Isla with her homework, cleaned out her backpack, even offered to reorganize our school papers on the kitchen counter while I made dinner. At the time, it seemed like a sweet gesture, Rebecca being more involved, more present, but now it made my stomach turn. I think someone replaced the real slip," I whispered, "and gave her this fake one instead." Declan looked at me, confused. "Who would do that?" I couldn't say it out loud. Not yet. My mind wasn't ready to go there. Detective Rodriguez leaned forward. "I understand this is difficult, but your daughter left the school this morning at approximately 9:28 a.m. through the west exit, alone. She wasn't forced. It looked like she knew exactly where she was going. I stared at him, my chest tightening with every word. Where would she go? She's 8. She's just a little girl. We're working on it, he said. We've already pulled security footage, but whoever orchestrated this did their homework. This wasn't random. Principal Morrison added, the permission slip was nearly perfect. Whoever made it had access to our formatting, letterhead, and event structure. Declan sat down, pale. I stayed standing, adrenaline still surging through me. I don't understand. Who would do something like this? No one answered, but in my mind, a single name echoed louder than all the rest. Rebecca. Detective Rodriguez's questions came in a steady, quiet rhythm, but each one made my skin crawl. Have you noticed anyone new around the house? A neighbor, a delivery person, someone asking questions about Isla? No, Declan answered. No one that comes to mind. But he looked at me as he said it, and I knew we were both thinking the same thing. Rebecca. My sister had always been a little unpredictable, sharp-tongued, emotionally volatile, and lately a shadow of herself. But the idea that she could be involved in this, it felt too dark, too intentional. Still, I couldn't ignore the memories rising in my chest like bile. Rodriguez shifted slightly, pen ready. Have there been any behavioral changes in your daughter over the past few weeks? I hesitated. Isla was usually full of light, always talking, always humming, always scribbling drawings of planets and castles. But now that I thought about it, there had been something different. She mentioned a surprise a few times, I said slowly. She said she couldn't wait for someone to show her something big. I thought it was just about the field trip. What exactly did she say? She told me that I was going to be proud of her, that someone had a secret for her. I didn't think anything of it. Declan stood up and began pacing, his jaw clenched tight. What about the security cameras? You said there were images. Principal Morrison nodded grimly. We've reviewed the footage from this morning. Isla arrived as usual. She entered the building and walked to her classroom. Then, at 9:28 a.m., she exited the side door near the gymnasium, alone, calm, like she was following instructions. I covered my mouth. The idea of her walking out on her own, no one dragging her, no visible panic, was worse in a way. It meant she trusted whoever sent her out there. She must have thought it was real, I whispered. Whoever did this knew exactly how to fool her. Rodriguez leaned forward. Mrs. Patterson, do you recall anyone else who had access to her backpack? Her school materials? I nodded slowly. 3 weeks ago, my sister Rebecca came over for dinner. She helped Isla with homework, reorganized her bag. I didn't think anything of it. Declan stopped pacing. She worked in the district office, didn't she? The detective asked. Yes, in admin, but she lost her job months ago. Did she tell you? No, I found out later, from our mother. She said Rebecca didn't want pity help. She was living with our parents, said it was temporary, but she'd been strange lately. Strange how? She's been asking questions about Isla, like what time we drop her off, if she ever walks home alone, even what kind of field trips they usually take. At the time, I thought she was just trying to connect. Rodriguez jotted something quickly in his notebook and motioned to another officer. We need to verify her address and employment history. Let's run it now. We drove back to the house in silence. Inside, 2 officers were already searching for anything that could explain how someone could have orchestrated this. They combed through Isla's backpack, her room, our kitchen counter where we kept school forms. That's when they found it. Crumpled at the bottom of her desk drawer was the real permission slip, the one from the school for the Science Discovery Center, not the Natural History Museum. That slip had never made it into her folder. Instead, someone had planted a forgery. And then came the second discovery. Tucked inside a children's book on her nightstand was a folded pink note. It was short, with soft, familiar handwriting. Don't tell. This is just for you. You're going to love the surprise. There was no signature, but I didn't need one. I sat down hard on Isla's bed. The smell of her shampoo still lingered in the pillow. Her drawings, rocket ships, unicorns, tiny families holding hands, lined the walls. I could hear her voice in my head, the way she used to ask, how many days until my birthday? And, can I bring Rebecca to the science fair? She loved my sister. And now, she was gone. Rodriguez appeared in the doorway with his phone. We're tracking Rebecca's number. If she has Isla, she won't keep quiet for long. But I wasn't sure. because if this was really about Isla, she already would have called. No, this was about me, and that made it so much worse. It was just after midnight when my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered anyway. The room went silent. Detective Rodriguez and his team immediately activated the recording device. My hand trembled as I pressed speakerphone. "Caroline," the voice on the line said. Soft, almost warm. "I guess you figured it out by now." "Rebecca," I whispered. My throat tightened. "Where is she? Please tell me Isla is okay." "She's fine," she said, like she was talking about a nap. "She's asleep, tired from the excitement today. She's safe, Caroline, safe and happy." My knees gave way, and I sank into the chair. "You took her." "I didn't take her," Rebecca replied, calm and deliberate. "I rescued her. You don't see it yet, but you will." "Rescued her?" I repeated, my voice cracking. "From what?" "From you. From that perfect little bubble you live in. From the pressure, the expectations, the way you don't even realize how small you make her feel. You never listen to her, not really." "That's not true. I love her. I know you think you do," she said, "but Ila's always trying to earn your love. She's always performing, always afraid to disappoint you." I saw it. Rodriguez scribbled notes quickly. No one in the room moved. "She tells me things you don't hear," Rebecca continued, "like how she hates soccer but plays anyway because you like the coach, or how she cries in her room because she thinks she's not as brave as Mommy. She's 8, Caroline. She shouldn't feel like she's failing at being your daughter." I pressed my hand to my mouth, fighting the sob rising in my throat. "You manipulated her. You made her think you were saving her." "I didn't have to manipulate anything," she said sharply. "I just listened." There was a silence that stretched too long. Then she added, "I gave her something no one else did. Permission. Permission to be herself. You forged school documents. You faked a field trip. You made her walk out of her school alone. That's not love, Rebecca. That's abduction." "I didn't hurt her," she insisted. "I would never. She's with me, and she's finally breathing." I wanted to scream, to rage, but the fear of her hanging up, of that lifeline disappearing, kept my voice steady. "Where are you?" "I can't tell you that. Not yet. Please, just let me talk to her. Let me hear her voice. Let me know she's really okay." Rebecca was quiet. Then, "Tomorrow." "Tomorrow? I'll let you speak with her tomorrow. If you're calm. If you stop sending cops to Mom and Dad's house. If you stop treating me like a criminal." "You are a criminal," Declan said, finally breaking his silence. "Tell Declan to shut up," she snapped. "He's part of the problem too. You both are." The line clicked. She was gone. Rodriguez immediately turned to one of the agents. "Trace that call. Burn every tower she pinged from. I want 3 teams triangulating within the next 10 minutes. "Already on it," the agent replied, headset in place. I sat in stunned silence. My hands were still shaking, and I realized my nails had dug into the palm of my hand hard enough to leave marks. "She's completely untethered," I said quietly. "She actually believes she's doing the right thing. That's what makes her dangerous," Rodriguez said. "She's not acting out of rage. She's acting out of conviction." A knock at the door startled all of us. An officer entered holding a laptop. "We found something." He placed it on the table. "It's Isla's tablet. There's a folder of saved audio files. We think Rebecca's been recording messages for her, coaching her." He opened the first file. A voice filled the room. "Hi, sweetheart. If you're hearing this, it means today's the day. I'm so proud of you. Just like we planned. Get your lunch, go out the side door near the gym, and I'll be waiting. You're going to love the surprise." The voice was soft, maternal, wrong. Another file. "You don't have to tell anyone, okay? Grown-ups always ruin good things. This is our secret adventure." I turned away. I couldn't listen to another second. Rebecca hadn't just tricked Isla. She'd groomed her. She'd planted the idea that this was a game, a gift, a way to earn love. The detectives looked grim. The entire operation shifted tone. This wasn't just a family issue anymore. This was a premeditated abduction with emotional conditioning. And somewhere out there, my daughter, my sweet, bright, trusting little girl, believed she was in the middle of something beautiful, when in reality, she was living inside someone else's delusion. The next 24 hours were a blur of flashing screens, dead-end leads, and unanswered questions. Rebecca's phone went silent. No more calls. No more voicemails. Just that terrible ringing silence every time we tried to reach her again. Search teams swept through nearby cities. The FBI joined the case. Amber alerts spread across state lines. Our home transformed into a war room. Maps, timelines, flight logs, interviews with anyone who had ever known her. Rodriguez barely slept. Neither did I. The guilt pressed against my chest like iron. I had let my sister in. I had trusted her, even when the signs were there. Subtle cracks in her voice, strange questions, quiet resentment. I had missed it all. But Isla had paid the price. Then, late that evening, a call came in. A woman had recognized Rebecca's car at a small gas station outside Cedar Hills, nearly 4 hours north. The attendant said she had a little girl with her, quiet, wearing a pink jacket and holding a stuffed animal. It was Isla. Within minutes, officers were en route. We watched the live traffic cams, listened to police radios. My heart beat so loudly I could hear it in my ears. Every second crawled. Every mile felt like a lifetime. Then, finally, another call. Rebecca's car was found abandoned behind an old roadside motel. The room she'd rented was locked from the inside. Officers breached the door, and there, in the middle of the bed, curled under a faded blue comforter, was Isla, sleeping, unharmed, alone. When I saw her at the hospital an hour later, I broke. She looked up, groggy, confused. "Mommy!" I ran to her, collapsing into the bed, holding her face in my hands. Her hair smelled like cinnamon shampoo, not the one we used at home. Her eyes were tired, but they still had that same spark. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. "I'm here. I've got you. You're safe now." She clung to me. "I didn't do anything bad, did I?" she asked. "Auntie Rebecca said it was a surprise." My throat closed. "No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. None of this is your fault." She nodded slowly. "She said you might be mad, that you'd be sad I left." Tears streamed down my face. Never, Isla. I was scared, but I was never mad." Declan stood behind us, unable to speak, his eyes glassy. That night, we slept in the same hospital bed, the three of us pressed together like we were afraid the world might try to tear us apart again. Rebecca was found 2 days later, walking barefoot near a hiking trail, dazed and dehydrated. She didn't resist arrest, didn't fight. Just looked at the officers and said, "Isla's safe now. That's all that matters." She was taken into custody and placed under psychiatric evaluation. At her hearing, she didn't speak. Not to me, not to our parents, not even to her court-appointed lawyer. Just stared out the window like the trial was happening in another universe. They ruled her mentally unfit to stand trial. For now, she's receiving treatment, and she may never see Isla again. Sometimes I catch Isla staring out the window, quiet. When I ask what she's thinking, she just says, "I miss her." I nod. Me too. Because the truth is I do. I miss the sister I used to know, the one who braided my hair and baked banana bread and cried at sad movies. I miss the version of Rebecca before the cracks widened, before she convinced herself that love meant possession. And I think a part of Isla will always wonder, not why Rebecca took her, but why someone she trusted could believe that was love. So I hold her closer now. I listen harder. I ask better questions. And every night, I remind her of something I used to take for granted, that love doesn't ask you to leave. It asks you to stay.